Hey guys, welcome to the newly rebranded card corner. It is now collectibles corner, and one of the things we are going to do on collectibles corner is look back through collectibles from our childhood. And today the thing we are talking about is this game, Monster in My Pocket. Now this is the Monster Showdown box that everything is in. This was a really cool game from when I was young. I don't think it was particularly big, but it was particularly cool. Now this game did have some really cool miniatures in it, but it wasn't really a miniatures game. In fact, it was more of a card game. Why the fuck do we even bother with this rebrand? But yeah, I digressed. It was the miniatures that sort of drew me into this game. I think I was young and in York one day, and I sort of went running down to the toy aisle and saw the figure Mad Scientist, and I was like, that's a really cool dude. Memorized what it was called, gave it a Google when I got home, and I was hooked. Now, I never actually played these in school or anything, so I have absolutely no idea how popular these were. In fact, I don't really know how you'd transport these to school. I mean, despite them being monsters in your pocket, it's going to be uncomfortable as fuck carrying these around in your school trousers. Right, I'm off to the park to play Monsters in My Pocket with Liam. I suppose if you were in primary school, I mean, you could slip these into your book bag quite easily. Doesn't fucking matter. Every game like this got banned in schools. I mean, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want these cool dudes being confiscated. I mean, this guy's rare. It's exclusive to this box. This one time when I was in year 2, a load of Pokemon stacks fell out of my pocket. And they got handed into one of the teachers, but I was too scared to ask for them back. So, like, yeah, I wasn't even in trouble. They didn't even get taken off me. I just dropped them. And I was still too scared of the teacher to ask for them back. So, yeah, I wouldn't really want these getting taken off me. Pokemon stacks, that's another thing I'm going to do a video on. Anyway, Miss Fright, if you're out there, I want the stacks back. This is it kind of comes in like a plaggy arena. I mean, it's kind of stuff in there. It's kind of Beyblade style, sort of just plastic arena. It's kind of, this is like a cover on it at least, but you know, it's kind of just shitty plastic really. Like a kid isn't gonna fucking wreck fuck out of this. So how the game worked was essentially you have you actually get a lot of cards that tell you how the game worked, but essentially you have a creature, so for example Gremlin, and you would play this against your opponent's card. So for example, the monster. So what you would do is you would use this. Normally you just hold the cards together, but in this instance you would use the incredibly convenient card holder right here in the middle of the showdown area, and you would put the cards back to back like so, and then place them in the card holder, because it was too because once you've already placed them back to back, it was too difficult to hold on to the cards. Now, as you can see, once in the holder, they have to kind of sit out to the side for them to even be readable. But essentially, it's a game of top trumps from there. You compare your elements, and if your element beats your opponent's element, so for example, fire beats earth, so this player would get to choose which of these stats they're going to compare. And then the winner, I believe, got, I don't know, a party thrown in his honour. But it wasn't all just down to the numbers on the card. This is where the miniatures come in. Because if we take a card, if we take this Grim Reaper miniature and this caved-in bear skull light, you could uncover a secret hidden number on the figurine. Unless it was like incredibly bright during the day and the light just didn't show up at all. There's a 6 on the Grim Reaper somewhere in there. And then the chosen stat would be increased. Oh, my puppy's having a nightmare. So really, you only lost if your bonus wasn't better than your opponent's. If your card was garbage, you lost anyway. But yeah, it was kind of top trumps, but they tried to make it a little bit more complicated. I think the bonuses were different on different figures, so like you could just knuckle the nerdy kid in school to give you all of their best fucking bonuses, because if you didn't have the figure, included in this set were cards that you didn't actually have. So for example, in fact there's multiple copies of the same cards in here because we already had them. Trying to think of an example of someone. Okay, so there's not many of them we didn't have, but you did get a couple where you didn't actually have the miniatures for them. So that kind of sucked because then, you know, you didn't have the bonus. This guy, this is the mad scientist I was talking about a minute ago. This guy was OP as fuck, right? Because his stats were like way better than all of his, all the other characters. But then he also has like an 8 as a bonus. So like, you know, he is like far and away stronger than everybody else. I don't even know why Mad Scientist is so good. Like, he's literally physically strongest. I think I went as this guy for Halloween one year. Just like a generic Mad Scientist with like green trousers. My dad's a nurse, so, you know, he had like the overcoats and stuff. Fucking swamped me because I was about probably about 8 years old. But yeah, anyway, I think this is a cool idea. Is, you know, having the information on the back of the card as well as the front. But ultimately, this little stand is just fucking pointless, man. I mean, at the end of the day, you could just literally fucking read it out, you know, like it actually is Top Trumps. I nearly stole the back of the card idea for my First World War card game, so you knew how much things cost without having to reveal what the card was. I still may. But yeah, it was a boring game as well, because like I say, it was just Top Trumps. So, like, I mean, these miniatures are cool as fuck, but yeah, they only go so far. I mean, it would be nice to use these for something. They're really cool, to be honest. And like I say, you also got a bunch of extra cards, which was cool to get the cards you didn't have, but with no fucking bonuses for them, it was useless. And like I say, it's kind of like Dice Masters if you already have the card, like where you need to get multiples of the dice to play it, but you don't need multiples of the card, because you got multiples of the same fucking card. Look, there's 2 ogres. And they're just fucking irrelevant fucking cards, you know, just fucking unnecessary, useless duplicate cards. That you've got no use for, that could have just remained as a tree, you know? But yeah, anyway, this is a pretty cool game in terms of the miniatures. Game itself wasn't great, but yeah. I think I had one game of this, and me and my friend Liam were just like, yeah, this sucks, let's not play this anymore. Let's take a look at some of the fucking other figures. This guy is cool as fuck, man. Look at him, he is metal as fuck. On the box, you got one kid that's like, wow, look at how fucking cool all these characters are. And then you've got the other kid that's kind of just like, I'm going to crush your skull in with a mallet. On the back of the box, we can see the habitats that they all lived in. Not all of them made an awful lot of sense. Like, for example, the vampiress and the vampire being in humanoids and maniacs rather than the dead. And the fact that the vampire and the vampiress aren't from the same habitat. But yeah, this was kind of cool as well, because you kind of be like, all of these groups were pretty cool, so yeah, you kind of just wanted them all. I don't think I have these 4. I think I only have Siren and Invisible Man from that entire section, so that's grim. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed learning about Monster in My Pocket.